So I did end up finally beating the Crew Unlimited once again, guys, and I gotta admit something right off the bat here. And you know what? This might honestly spark some controversy in a way, but you know what? They really don't make games like this anymore, bro. And let me explain why I think that is. So a lot of people are obviously going to be wondering about the Crew Unlimited or, wanting to play the Crew 1 again and stuff. And it is kind of weird to me going back in and playing this game, going through the entire single player again, leveling up, maxing out vehicles, trying to get better parts, and then trying to buy other vehicles I wanted and stuff like that. And it really just all kind of plays a role. And you're like, okay, well, again, you're getting like a sense of progression, but you're also getting the other side of it, which to me is going to be the side of, oh, look, we're going to have a story mode in a game, which a lot of people I would say like it. And then at the same time, maybe people don't care about story modes in racing games. Honestly, I don't know. There's so many different sides to that, bro. I really don't know how to even look at that. Like, a lot of people are like, yo, I like a story mode. And then other people might not even want to bother doing it. And they'd rather have, like, a Forza Horizon festival type. So, yeah, I really don't know which way to go with that. But one thing I can say is going back in and playing the Crew 1 again, I enjoyed the story, man. Yes, is there going to be some cringy parts? Of course. I mean, most story modes have that. Look at Need for Speed, bro. There's going to be some cool parts in other areas. Are like, really, dude? Like, was that necessary, or why'd they even say that, or something like that? But either way, at least you are going to see the story of Alex being told and stuff like that. With, if you guys haven't played this game yet, you're probably going to get some spoilers right now, but I would say most people have. But he pretty much did want to avenge the death of his brother, which you pretty much go through that. You're also going to have to find the other 510s and all that, and kind of beat the other racers, getting to the main part, which is going to be Shiv at the end of that, which he was pretty much going to be the main reason his brother was killed, because obviously he was the one that shot him in that one scene in the beginning. And then Alex did end up pretty much getting framed for it and stuff like that, and then Zoe helped him get back on track, which obviously, guys, we all do know a story mode in a racing game. I think this game actually did a good job at it. And it really, this might sound kind of dumb, but I was genuinely interested playing through the game again, man. Like, I did find this pretty fun. I had a good time going through the missions, trying to grind parts and stuff like that. I actually did end up hitting level 60. If you are wondering, the only cheat I used was for money, guys. I didn't use anything else. I leveled up fully on my own. Got all my own vehicle parts. I actually currently have dirt maxed out, performance, and I also have rally rate. I am currently working on street, but I'm also probably going to have to level up monster as well, which I'll probably most likely get to that class after I end up finishing street and stuff like that, guys. But one thing I really did like about this game a lot, though, is I feel like the overall vibe and atmosphere, which I did talk about, that everybody does seem to agree, was just completely different than the newer games are, which honestly is probably going to be a good thing, as we do know a lot of games nowadays tend to pretty much copy each other, and they're going to be very similar, and you can kind of tell how one game is going to take cues from the other one. Like, I do understand that we are going to be in a different era and stuff like that. Maybe vehicle licensing is a problem. Honestly, I have no clue, but either way, though, it is nice to go back in and play the Crew 1 again and actually enjoy the story of this game, and probably get in there and play this a little bit and go, okay, so this is what's going to make this game so special. I really do hope a lot of people who have never played it are going to jump in and actually experience this game. Now, the other thing I did want to talk about with the story is I had a really good time as well, kind of going through the initial, I guess you could say, missions in each area. So we'll obviously have street in Detroit. Over on the New York side, you're then going to have like the dirt tuner. There's going to be dirt events over there. Head down south into Miami. You're then going to have like performance events, the performance tuners down there. And you're going to be able to experience different areas and stuff like that. But what the cool thing is, though, is if you are using, let's say, street, you can go and grind those races, get the vehicles leveled up, because later in the game, you're also going to have more street events, similar to having more dirt events from the New York area. So you can go back in, level those up. You can also jump in and grind some of the skills and get your vehicle a higher leveled, which is something I also did end up doing. I found that to be really entertaining, like going to an event and going, okay, so my vehicle required levels 300. Then you end up looking down, you're like, oh, my vehicle's 720. So yeah, you're going to be over double the level of that said event, so you could pretty much own it, beat it really easily. And guess what? That's then going to make it so you can actually grind that race for a bit until the XP is going to drop on it a little. You can level up, which is something that I did end up doing. Like, in each area, I'd find a race I really liked. I grind it for a little bit, or like one of the easier ones, I grind it for a bit and go, okay, well, I went up a few levels. Now I'm going to be a bit higher. My vehicles are going to be higher ranked as well. Let me now move on to something like Miami. Go down there, do some of the perf events. I would then go around and find some landmarks and just mess around in the area. And you might end up being like me, and maybe you go go to like one area in Miami and go, okay, well, I'm going to do all of the skills here, and then I'm also going to go over here and find these landmarks, then I'll go do the events, or you're pretty much going to explore everything and try to find a lot of areas, and then do some of the other stuff before you do the story mode. That way you're going to be higher leveled and kind of, just that sense of progression type of thing, which a lot of games do end up missing. Now, if you do fast forward, though, you're going to go New York, then to Miami. You obviously start in Detroit with the street vehicles. From performance, though, in Miami, you're then going to head over to Vegas, which is going to be the Rally Raid spec. And I did say Rally Raid because of the newer games, but you are going to have the raid spec there. There's then going to be different raid events, and you're also going to have a bunch of different raid skills. And then you're also going to be in the mountain state, so guess what that's also going to mean, guys, going through the story. You're then also going to be able to find some of the hidden vehicle parts everywhere, which someone did have a good point. There is going to be 20 different parts in basically each zone. So, Midwest, South, mountain states, and stuff like that, there's 20 of them. I think one thing they probably could have did, instead of having like 20 parts to one vehicle, they honestly probably could have had like 3 different vehicles, maybe having 5 to 7 parts on each one, and also giving it a mystery of which part you're actually going to find. Like, mix it up in each area. That way, if you find like one random car part, you're like, oh, dope, but you're also not going to have any clue on what vehicle that is for. I feel like that would have been pretty dope to see that. 20 parts for one vehicle probably is a bit insane, but then again, though, still going to give you a sense of exploration. But as I was saying earlier, though, on top of actually having to use something like a raid vehicle in Vegas, because the tuner is there, you're also then going to have performance races, which you guys will see me in the background using a motorcycle on this race, and my vehicle's around like 300 levels above them. And my goodness, with the bike, bro, I was literally just gone. It was hilarious. But that was going to be simply down to me grinding out these classes, doing the races, doing the skills, and making sure my vehicle's actually going to be higher leveled. I kind of knew I was probably going to be a tad overpowered, but this is something I tend to do in games. Like, I do play early on and stuff like that, or I'm going to be in one area of the game and I kind of grind a bit there if I know I can do it, which is something I always used to do in like Dark Souls and Elden Ring. Like, I find an area, grind out, go above like a bunch of levels, and then go, oh yeah, so once I get over here, I'm going to be higher leveled. And that kind of did end up trickling down into something like other games like The Crew and stuff. So yeah, I'm probably not alone there, because it does actually make the game easier, which is obviously going to be a W. But with that, though, after you guys do end up showing up in Vegas and you get through that, you're then going to get to the final part of the game, which is going to be in Los Angeles. This is also where the circuit tuner is, so once you do end up going there, you're going to have access to the circuit vehicles, which at that point, you're probably going to have the money and different cars that you do like that you can't throw the circuit stuff on, and then basically jump into the next events and go from there and get even farther into the game. So the funny part is, toward the end of the game here in California, guys, I was going to be a bit over leveled in basically every single category. The one class I wasn't using that much that I did have to level a bit was going to be the street, as I was like 300 levels under, so I did end up finding a few skills that were going to be easy, specifically the jumping ones, and I would go and do that for like 15-20 minutes and go up like 300 to 400 levels or something. Then I'd be like, okay, let's go jump into this event, and then I did end up using the perf category, and pretty much did end up finding a few races, specifically one of them that did end up being a tad easier than I thought it was going to be, which then again comes down to my vehicle being like 500 levels above it, so I was able to lose like the police or the bad people after me in probably like 40-ish seconds. So you were getting 14,000 XP every 40 seconds, and I pretty much did end up doing that event to level all the way up to like 53 or 54. Then once I did end up beating the game itself, I went back into that mission to hit level 60. So it did take some time to do that, guys, but man, it was so funny going over into California where the recommended level was like 42, I think it was 41, something like that. I think I was around like 53, 52, so I was above it. Had all my vehicles, were all going to be higher leveled, so I'd go through the events and kind of fly through them. But I really was genuinely enjoying this story so dang much, man. The final cutscene of the game honestly did hit me a lot, guys. I really did enjoy that one. Pretty much walks in there, seeing Shiv in there. He pretty much holds the gun up and stuff like that to him, going, well, you're the one that did end up taking my brother or whatever. He shoots the gun in the air, pretty much getting everyone's attention. Everyone walks up to him like, bro, what are you doing in here? And he pretty much said to him, like, you're the one that did end up killing my brother and stuff like that. And then he pretty much wanted to shoot him or whatever. The other guy was getting ready to pull his gun out and stuff like that, which is, probably how a storyline would go. And then toward the end of that, though, he pretty much said, nah, I'm not going to shoot you as much as he really wanted to because this dude actually killed his brother, man. So that's kind of wild to think about. He knows he did that. He saw him, and obviously he was going to be framed for it because no one knew that the other guy did it because there's nobody else at the scene at the time besides the gun that the detective did end up picking up. So yeah, he probably did want to do that, but he's like, no, you know what, man? We're going to be 5'10s, bro. We're finna race. Then you're going to have the long race at the end of this game, guys, which I really did enjoy this one. It is going to be performance. I think with my car, which obviously I am going to be higher leveled, I think this race took around maybe 7.5 minutes for me, something like that, 7-ish minutes. Again, my vehicle's going to be like 700 levels above. I think the other AI were like 729. My vehicle is like 1470. So yeah, you could probably say I was a tad over leveled for the event. But either way, though, it was still going to be a very fun race. I did end up using the LaFerrari. And it's kind of funny, though, because it is going to hit a memory of mine. I do remember the LaFerrari being very good in the Crew 1. And after driving this car a bit, man, I could kind of see, like, this car really was great. Had really good braking. The handling was good. And I can kind of see why many people used it in PvP and stuff, which is something I might end up having to do eventually and try this car out when PvP does end up coming out again. From there, you will then end up being in the final part of the game as well, where you pretty much have to take down Shiv in the Ford Raptor. This is something that might seem very difficult, but you can, go off-road because it's a Ford Raptor and it's raid, and then you can pretty much take like a harder hit on the car and take a bunch of health away. It's not going to be like that one event where you have to take down a literal bus. That one was also pretty fun, and it is going to be in a rally raid. But overall, guys, playing through this game again, it just really hits, and it just kind of shows me something about the special vibe the Crew 1 had. And like, you could kind of look at the newer games going, man, we really do need some type of story back or something. I'm gonna be real and say the overall festival racer design, I really do think games gotta stop copying Forza and that stuff, man. Like, I do hope the next Crew game isn't a festival racer. I really don't think they should be copying Motorfest, as that game basically stripped away so many things of what made the Crew special, and it kind of just turned into like a copy of Forza in a lot of ways. And I don't know, I just feel like they could definitely do things better. And playing through the Crew 1 again, you could feel like the special vibes of the game. You could kind of feel how like the map had a special feel to it. I love going around and actually exploring it and finding different things and going through each part of the map for the story. It kind of brings you everywhere, making you go to certain places. Really was a fun experience overall, guys. But playing through this game again, maxing out my cars, still felt absolutely amazing. Now, I am curious to know what y'all think about the Crew Unlimited in the comments below. Have you guys played through it? Are you planning to? If you have never played the Crew 1 and you can play this game, I would highly recommend doing it. You would not regret it, but at the same time, you also get to see where this game did end up starting the entire series, and in ways you can kind of tell by playing this game and then going back into the Crew 2 and Motorfest, where things kind of went downhill a bit.